Okay. All right. So we're just gonna go live, I guess, with this one. No preparation and stuff like that. So I didn't need to do the music or anything like that this time around. So with that being said, let's actually go to. Let me find out where we are at. Well, you guys will just see me in my prep because I got to set up the widgets and stuff like that, anyways. Okay. Yeah, I gotta make sure this is enabled first of all. How you doing, everyone? How you doing? All right, I'm gonna keep it rather quick today, just because I need to put yes here. I believe it's yes. And let me actually come back here and check. Should have now enabled. Let me make sure. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just making sure everything updates for you guys, because it's the first time I'm using this system. So I need to actually, where are you? All right, boom. Did it go? All right, it's good. All right, so the system's working. And then the widget here, let's hope that this works and doesn't completely destroy the signal. I don't know. Actually, we won't worry about the widget. We'll just go with the live and kind of give you guys the quick update anyways. Because there's not much really that's happened, but I feel like I'll get this out there because I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I've been very busy. So with that being said, let's actually get right into it. So I'll share my screen again and let's begin. All right, so again, no preparation, no introduction or anything like that. Speak spinach. I'm not going to speak spinach, but all right. So really nothing's happened as far as the core holdings go in terms of adding, subtractions. Meta is kind of just blown up now. You guys already know that. That's nothing new for you guys. And again, my core is pretty much done. The performance for a lot of these has been really good. Perion's been really good. Meta's obviously been really good. Netflix has been really good. Digital Bridge, a newer one that actually has performed really well as well. Kilroy's kind of been mute there. I've been requested to do a video on that one specifically just because of its position within the portfolio, just to share my thoughts. But a lot of the community, you guys already know exactly why I hold this position or how I feel about it. So you guys can now see that this is updated or enabled. Updated. It's the first time I'm using this newer way of doing it or newer system. So it did work after I had to enable the update. But we also have Murphy's, which is also kind of muted position. Activision Blizzard actually came down a decent chunk today. There was a UK or update from the UK that they're probably going to block the or they're suing to block the merger between Activision Blizzard and Microsoft. Now, some of the other positions, Cirrus Logic actually snuck up above $100 a share. So now the performance has been really good. It's just a small position within my portfolio, so nothing too big. NCR is, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, on the chopping block. Its size relative and also its performance thus far, I think has been a bit too quick, and maybe I want to deploy that capital elsewhere. I gave you guys a video or a sneak peek. I forget what video it was. It might have been, I think it was the one on Meta, or was it the one on Amazon? One of those videos, I already gave you guys kind of like the snapshot or the quick update on Intel. Intel is no longer part of the portfolio, but let me keep that in order. I'll get down to that, those updates. Northrop Grumman, a newer position within the portfolio. That video should be dropping anytime this week. I filmed it last week, but I don't want to overwhelm with too many videos in a given day. So just know that video was filmed last week. You'll know by the date when I'm showing like the charts, etc., because you'll see the date there. But the information there, nothing's changed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. And nothing's changed as far as the bank positions go. Markel, nothing's changed there. Dropbox, nothing's changed. Dropbox might be on the chopping block. I mean, it's performed okay. I think that's actually a market performer right now, because I think over the past couple years, markets performed at about 30-something%. Dropbox has performed around 30-something%. So yeah, so technically underwhelming in reality, but still okay. LYB performed okay from the time period we held it. That was a 2021 acquisition. And, last year was a negative year for the market. So 7% throughout that time period is pretty good, excluding dividends, by the way. So because all these gains, I don't reinvest dividends. I am excluding dividends from the calculation, just only taking into account capital appreciation. Now with realty income kind of ran up on me. I didn't really accumulate as much as I probably would have liked, but also at the same time, I kind of take that statement back. Maybe I don't really want to acquire too much of realty income. I feel like that is, I can't imagine that it can possibly continue to grow at the same rate or return the same amount as it has in the past. Okay, so we are seeing, by the way, Investing with Cole actually did a really good video on another content creator, Joseph Bubbleson is what they call him, but yeah, so apparently it was something to do with Meta and a fib that was told. I highly recommend everyone check it out. In fact, I'm going to put your video up here on the screen because I found it entertaining and informative simultaneously. So let me see. Why is it not showing up in my history? Should be there. Oh, I have to click see all. Forgive me. All right, here we go. And okay. Here we go. So go check out his video. He just posted it. You can see there 55 minutes ago. So check out his video for sure. Okay, so let me get you guys back here. But yeah. So and by the way, Cole, it's a fantastic video. Again, entertaining. Answer any questions, or maybe I don't know. I have some questions for you maybe after the stream, but it's pretty good. All right, that will be 110% Meta, because I saw you commented on his negative video saying that Meta would be a strong outperformer versus other tech. So so far that's aged really well. So kind of congratulate you on there. And almost I'm like, why are you not buying, or why didn't you buy Meta? But we already had that conversation. BASF has also been performing okay, but now we get into the sales. Oh, almost forgot. Construction Partners Road is another position. That's kind of newer, but I think that's already been updated in the last update. Nothing's happened to Celanese, and I think that covers everyone. All right, that does cover everyone. FIS, yeah, nothing's changed there. Amazon, been adding. You guys have been seeing there. Amazon's actually now a larger position within the portfolio, kind of getting it up and up and up a little bit. Hopefully we get prices to come down a bit so I can truly build it out to its former glory, but we will see. Fingers crossed. And then coming down over to some of the sell positions, we do have Qualcomm, that's gone. FRP Holdings, that's gone. Advanced Micro Devices, that is gone. Aerojet Rocketdyne finished selling off that, and then the other ones were already updated. So those other ones are already in the previous update. But yep, so those ones are now gone. Intel, I already informed everyone in the prior video, or I think it was the video again, Meta or Amazon, before this update. So the reasons why. So Intel, I wanted to clean up a lot of the portfolio. So the lower conviction positions being the semiconductors that I had. Intel was the largest one. So I sold Intel, and I didn't sell because of the earnings, although I could have had a better selling price had I, waited for earnings and then it rallied up to 30. That probably would have been the better time to sell, but I got a decent price on Intel. All things being considered, at this point, I've been in and out of Intel a couple times in the past, and each time getting, you could argue, lucky. Some people who are Intel bears say it's going to get into the low teens maybe. We'll see if that happens. Then consider me lucky again. But I really wanted to focus more again in the main plays within the portfolio. So I didn't want to have too many distractor positions. Oh, and I almost forgot this one. Disney, right? I'm jumping all over the place, but I'll get to them all. So Disney's a new one within the portfolio. I'm kind of adding that one, speculating that there's going to be some turnaround story, but we will see. I have this much faith in that, but we will see. I am going to disclaim something here. It's not really done yet because I'm still working on making the adjustments, but I do have a portion that's including. So something that's missing here is the nanocaps portion within the portfolio, but I've decided that for some of these serious nanocap plays, I'm going to be just naming them nanocaps. And just showing you the allocation of capital and aggregating it into one. So right now it's not really working as a function. So keeping that separate, but that's coming, how I'm going to do it. But yeah, and nothing's really changed here on this side. I sold one of the fund positions, GLSI, which has a drug for breast cancer, but that's about it. And then that's all the changes that happened here. Oh, and of course, there's actually, I cut one of the positions in half, Alibaba. So reason why I sold that is, again, I wanted to make a certain % return on the position that I acquired back in my last Alibaba video. So that one was kind of playing on the sentiment, and it really brought down the cost basis. Again, I don't really believe there is any true value to any of those positions, including Baba and Prosus, but goes to show, you can still make some money, but having some more fun with the position. And you guys have been following me along that journey as well. The very first Alibaba positions, which again, always small portion of my portfolio, was acquired in 2021, December 21st, around there. So long time ago now, but yeah, sold about half the position there. Didn't sell Prosus yet, although I probably, maybe should have in recent hindsight. So other than that, that pretty much sums up all the changes within the portfolio. Really happy with Meta Platforms, performance, but yeah. Okay, so let's go through some of the questions and see if there are any questions. All right, so we see capital markets of Bob. Okay, so we already addressed that. Turning into a clown. Pretty sure Boboson did sell out completely in November 2021, but then bought and sold quickly in 2022 when it was around 200 maybe. Okay, I don't know anything about that. That's going to be more Cole's video or up Cole's alley for his discovery and research there. Do you plan on taking profit on recent gain or just leaving it to continue to DCA every week or month? I'm not going to be DCAing into these positions. I'm done with the accumulation, but right now it's more of a consideration for taxes. So unfortunately, right, we have to consider short-term capital gains as a massive, factor when I'm going to consider selling these positions. So for Meta, the vast majority of those shares will become long-term capital gains in November of this year. So up until that point, I have pretty much no considerations for selling. Netflix is, I think the majority will be in June of this year. The majority are going to become long-term capital gains. So I have contemplated, of course, in conversation with community members, okay, maybe I can do a strategy of selling some contracts out, capturing some of the gains now. That will all be, on the short-term capital gains or ordinary income, but, at least capturing some of the gains just in case. I've also been considering kind of hedging my position now, maybe buying some puts, because actually considering its size in both dollar volume and percentage, it might be intelligent to kind of hedge against any volatility we see throughout the rest of the year. So if you guys recall, or members recall from the Sunday call, there are some issues with the recent report. Now, that doesn't mean that stocks haven't bottomed or anything like that. I'm not going to make a claim to know if they have or haven't, and I don't care about that really. But there are a lot of scenarios that can play out in which both stocks and bonds can rally from here, even though we're still yet to see a worse economic situation. I think I might have tweeted something about that where I shared a little bit more, but not to get too much into that. So the Warrior, hey, Capital Mindset, hey, how you doing, the Warrior? Kai, man, what happened to Bill? Had good earnings and just collapsed. Oh, Bill.com. Well, the reason why Bill.com collapsed is you had, I think, Peru Saxana investing in it. So by definition, it has to. I'm kidding. That's a joke, but kind of not. Yeah. Uh, almost a joke. I don't know if he actually holds it, but I'm pretty sure he does. That's a little dig there. So, Capital Club Community. I don't. Okay, Capital Club Community. Let me look it up over here, and then I'll probably bring it up. What is this? It's a pet-friendly apartment community. That's what I'm getting. I'm pretty sure that's the wrong one. I think Luke, he's bigger than you, but the channel is new. Luke Bellman? Oh, Belmar. I don't know what this is. Okay, so it's a YouTube channel. And while I don't know what you, okay, so let me bring it up. So apparently it's this channel here, and it says, I think watches your channel. He's bigger than you, but the channel is new. He had clout before. That channel is new community, just started on YouTube. And then look at the logo and name. Could be coincidental. I don't know. But there has to be, like, I guess more than that just to consider that he watches. But if he does watch, all right, cool. I mean, I don't know what this is really about, but it's more about other things than finance related topics, it seems. It seems like he does interviews and stuff, but yeah, your life, your choice. I mean, motivation stuff, all well and good. So remember your blue wall. Oh, I mean, that's maybe we all have the same taste. I don't know. So he's newer. He's newer than Capital Mindset, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay, he's newer. Well, good for him. My goodness, 29.4K subscribers. That's great in that time frame. That's awesome. All right, so did you sell ASPS? Man, Jay, that's a long time ago. I mean, good thing I have them right here. So ASPS, you can refer to this video here. So yeah, long time ago now at this point. So yeah, you can refer to that video, JT, if you want to know why I sold ASPS. But yeah, I sold ASPS long time ago at this point. But good question. Thoughts on Tyson earnings. So we looked at Tyson earnings as a community today. We actually listened to the earnings call on voice chat. And I think the consensus, or what I listened to, what I took away from the call was, okay, well, supply chains are going to normalize for their industry at the tail end of this year. However, the cost-cutting measures will not come or show their dividends until I think it's 2 years from now. So about 2 years from now, that's when a lot of their initiatives today for automation, they use the word automation a lot, by the way. So if you watch the Google earnings report, you also recall or might recall that they use the word AI. I think I'm exaggerating, but every other sentence, it seemed like they were saying the word AI. And then you had Tyson Foods saying, well, automation, efficiency. So they kept saying those words over and over and over again. Now, if you think that management's going to execute well on cost-cutting measures and maintain market share, continue to return capital to shareholders in the form of dividends and buybacks, so good, friendly shareholder capital allocation strategy. Well, if they go through with it and they execute well, I mean, it looks like it's really good value now. I kind of just penciled out some scenarios, and it seems like it's on the more undervalued side than the overvalued side for sure. So some community members believe that it's going to get to the mid-50s, and that's a good time to accumulate. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I might accumulate here. So that's just kind of my quick thoughts on that. But yeah. So here are some questions coming in. Why would you ever sell Meta stock before Quest 7 launches in 2040? Yeah, I don't really have plans on selling Meta because even when I looked at the big tech right now, I think that Meta is still almost like at fair value to slightly undervalued because people really are forgetting. Let me just pull up the chart here. You guys can't see the chart just now, but just keep this in mind, okay? So now, this price action, just looking at this chart, absolutely means nothing. But I'm trying to remind everyone of the narrative. So recall that just because it was trading at 300 doesn't mean it should be trading at 300. That's not what I'm saying. But recall the drastic downturn. What caused it to get to that point? What caused it to get to on November 4th/3rd? I think the 3rd was the bottom, actually. But November 3rd, what caused it to get to that low price point that it hasn't seen since about, I think it was like 2015, around there, like 2015, the year 2015. What happened? So a huge wave of negativity went over the company. People really genuinely forgot how much money Meta is capable of producing, how much cash Meta is capable of producing. And even now, I still see the narrative that, okay, well, their revenues are declining, dying company, dead company. Well, keep in mind, revenue declined off of tough comps. Anyone who's forgetting to mention that is missing the full picture, right? 2021 to 2022 is a very tough comparison because 2021 was a fantastic year for Google, for Meta, for all the advertising space. And when you're looking at that, you want to normalize that, right? You want to take into account the massive jump that all those companies had. So if you're wondering why is the market so excited about Meta? Well, for two things. Again, it's not paying attention to the revenue. I really doubt that people are really, or institutions are really paying attention to the revenue decline and freaking out about it. They obviously didn't. And I don't think it's necessarily the $40 billion buyback, although nice. But remember, I don't really like Meta's buybacks before. They bought back shares, I think, at unfavorable prices. But let's put that to the side. I think that the negative narrative was shattered. I mean, you had Chamath Palihapitiya, not that he's like some beacon of truth and wisdom and stuff like that, but he is influential nonetheless. And he was a former, or I think he was at least formally heavily involved with Facebook back in the day. And what he was saying, and I'm kind of quoting him somewhat, paraphrasing his statements, but that Meta was going to spend $250 billion with a T, trillion dollars on the metaverse. Now, this is patently false. And that's probably at its worst. At its best, it's incorrect or misleading. So yeah, and a lot of people believe that. You had YouTubers, like I said in my video, you had YouTubers that never chime in on individual companies or stuff like that. Or they don't even analyze companies. They chimed in and started talking about how the company's dead. You had a little bit of a shout out to Steven Van Meter, who makes basically Armageddon content. I call that. He was coming in, and he usually talks about bonds, yield curves, bank collapsing, stuff, whatever. And he came out and was like, Meta's a dying company. So that slew of negativity. I mean, you basically had the shoe shiner saying that, Meta was a great short. Practically, right? No one was saying to actually short it, but practically speaking. So right now, I think that Meta is kind of still on that fair value territory. But just keep that in mind, right? Just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's the massive rally that you saw was basically off of bottom barrel pessimism built into the stock, and that narrative was shattered. But yeah, it's catching everyone by surprise for sure. Okay, so I see some interesting ones. So housing market update, specifically building material space. Slowdown in building is here, but repairs don't need or stop needing to be done. Think Owens Corning, OC, for example. All right, yeah, fair enough. So I don't have any positions in them. I have a live stream where I was discussing, and I think this was in November or so, where I was actually taking a look at the home builders. And funnily enough, that was the local bottom. So maybe I should have not been looking, but instead, acquiring, but, didn't participate in it. So it got to a point where, we have to always consider what is the forward outlook of the market. So we know, or it was known that, okay, well, yeah, housing market slowing down, construction's pulling back here and there. But a lot of the housing companies, well, it was already known, so perhaps it was already priced in. And for now, maybe it looks like it was. So your question is kind of geared towards, well, who supplies those guys? Who gives those guys stuff? So think of IBP, BLDR, Owens Corning. So a lot of other companies that work on top of those businesses, right? And they supply them with the goods necessary to build the building itself. So that's going to be, I think, the long-term thesis is still really intact. There's still a supply shortage of housing within the United States, for the most part, in the places where people want to live. Now, you kind of take that same statement I just said and take that out from as a holistic view. There seems to be still plenty of supply. It's just not, again, in the places where majority of people want. So that is the problem at the end of the day. Like, there are places in the United States where housing prices have come down a lot, but those tend to be in places where not many people are moving in. So, you have your high cap rate cities, high cap rate towns where you can get a decent rate of return for rent, because you're going to that's where all your returns are going to come from, not necessarily in the appreciation of the property, just because there's not a lot of people moving in, right? So the long-term story is pretty much still intact. You have individual builders that are perhaps a little bit more degenerate in terms of where their projects are, how aggressive they are, how much leverage they took on over this time period, but there are some builders who have been rather conservative, rather modestly run. So I'm thinking of the NVRs of the world. And then on the degenerate side, maybe Lennar. So, but overall, no, I mean, I think a lot of people's favorite in kind of that theme is BLDR. So I'll put their ticker here. I mean, that one's been a long-term compounder for a while, for a long time. Let me show you exactly. So, ignoring that, you bought it at the 2009 bottom, but even right here, I mean, look at this massive run up here. That's absolutely crazy. Any point back there, but you look at this chart and maybe you're a little bit scared. I wouldn't blame you for it too, but the overall theme is still there. I'm not personally participating in this business, but yeah, it's had a recent rally along with the other home builders. I think a little bit more aggressive rally. Yeah, 54%. And if I put up, I'll put a high quality one like NVR. Let's put the 1 year. So let's kind of generalize. Yeah. So you see it's rallied a bit more. Okay. So, till what price you'll accumulate Amazon? So there's no price to the bottom. I'm just trying to be as patient as possible. Pretty much capital that's coming in, I'll deploy it in there, or capital that is, freed up from other positions that aren't really of core focus might be segued into Amazon. I'm really looking. So I did a write-up for the community. So there is a section of the community where it's investment ideas, where we do article write-ups. Not just me who writes them, but I wrote one. Let me try to see exactly the date, because I provided, for example, like my strategy there. But at the time, I wasn't allowed to accumulate Amazon, which is a problem because it got to the price point that I liked it. So community members who have already read this article, you guys already know the price points, but it was in the accumulation zone of around the 80s, low 90s, and it got there, and that was the high probability in terms of like the scenarios. So I'm trying to see the date. October 22nd, 2022 is when the article was written, and the current price, I believe, was well, let's find out right here, because I actually didn't post the current price of that day, so we can just use the date. So AMZN. Okay. October 22nd. October. It's close enough, because it might have been posted on a weekend. So it was 119 around there. And again, price point, it on the high probability side, it was $90 through $65 was the high attractive range. And it dipped into there right around here. So there was a time period, but I wasn't able to accumulate. So it is what it is. But I've been buying some here anyways, and then hoping that we get a bigger pullback. I'm actually really excited for Amazon. I already have a video talking about that. I was going to do another video talking about the earnings that just came out, because I think there's something at least to be said about it. So I did talk about it in the Sunday call, but I feel like I'll make a video at some point and post it to broader YouTube, because I feel like, again, I want to highlight this out here publicly, more about how I feel about Amazon as a business. But I did talk about it in the last Amazon video, and it was a layup, but they didn't perform. I'll just say that, or at least I felt they did perform. Okay, but the market disagreed with me there. I think the market might have been maybe it got ahead of its skis, because although, it hasn't really taken a dip. I mean, if we consider the recent rally, it hasn't really dipped. But yeah, that's hopefully that answers your question on that. Any upside thoughts on updated thoughts on the bond market? Yeah, so Ethan's asking any updated thoughts on the bond market. Well, I think that for me, I've been considering it prudent to still allocate some exposure to long duration bonds. And not directly, so through alternate products, you could say. I've actually taken profits on the more degenerate products. Again, I don't really like to talk about those products on YouTube, but members do know that, and I heavily discourage the use of them. But you asked the question and I'm answering. So my updated thoughts are, I still kind of foresee the long end of the curve still coming down. That's might be, I think hedge funds are net short right now, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Point being, I'm still comfortable taking that position now, it's not going to be the huge position within my portfolio. It's more like a hedge. And then if it works out, I can actually sell or redeploy the capital back into equities should we see some kind of volatility. But there are scenarios like I've outlined in which stocks and bonds can rally together. But for now, that's actually kind of what's happened, because if you haven't known, the long end of the curve has been rallying since the tail end of last year. So it was a good position to be short bonds and then switch over to long bonds at some point. But, let's not talk about that now. It's too late. So I see some more questions coming in, but we see Echoes from Below's coming in. It's a second account from Echoes from Above. Can you talk about Murphy's USA? Looks like a new addition to the portfolio. I wanted to save it for its own video, but yeah, it is a new position within the portfolio. This is kind of more of a play on oil adjacent and trying to capture a very well-run company, some near-term weakness on a very well-run company that has a very favorable capital allocation strategy for a company that looks like it's perpetually cheap. So I think the capital allocation going forward in the form of heavy buybacks at these prices is actually rather attractive, and you actually see how much they're planning on putting towards those buybacks every single year. I actually want to start to build out that position in there, and also considering maybe the market's a bit too pessimistic on how that business is going to perform with the price of oil. There's also concerns, of course, of demand destruction and their clientele. Of course, we have energy expenses that are necessities. Are people necessarily going to go to the convenience store and pick up that drink, pick up that, whatever? They're also heavily tied to cigarette sales. So taking that into consideration, how is that doing? I'd say that's more like on the recessionary proof side of things, but we can all, agree to disagree if you have alternate opinions there. So yeah, for now, it's actually a position that is down, and it's still small. I could see myself accumulating more, but I'm going to be taking a quick pause here on that front. So good question there, Ethan. And that was also IC Bobby. So the bond question and IC Bobby. What do you think about LII? Okay, well, I haven't seen this company yet. Let's see this. Lennox International. Oh, I feel like I've seen about this business. Oh, yeah. So climate control business. So I'd have to take a look at it, but definitely, let me see this. I think, Marcel, you're within the community. So let's actually revisit that on Sunday, because then we can actually do a deeper dive. And we have community members who are all over this sector, both people who have worked in that sector and can share thoughts, but there's other comparative businesses that we can talk about. So there's one in the refrigeration space. I mean, there's also technically, we can kind of get into Carrier as well. But from on the surface, from what I remember when we first looked at this business, because I kind of remember it, it looked like a solid business overall. I assume you're asking because the performance over the past year has kind of just been flat, which is still pretty good. It's up from, let me show you guys here. So you can see the performance there. So the past 5 years, it's only up 35%. Past 1 year, again, it's pretty much flat. And then year to date, It's actually like the rest of the market up 11.23%. Okay, so but definitely we can talk about that in greater detail later. So let's see here. Thoughts on Google new chat or AI chatbot Bard? It's going to be okay. So we're going to watch that live stream basically on Wednesday, because I think that's the day it comes out, and they're going to be unveiling it and really talking about its implementation. But that should be no secret. I was on the Sense Invest live stream the other day, and one of the questions I was asked was, well, what do we feel about, Alphabet's answer? And we all said, I think the consensus was, yeah, ChatGPT is cool and all, but what Alphabet has is probably far better or far more advanced. And also, I think the consensus, at least from people in the community who have experience with language models, all say that ChatGPT, again, is a cool little gimmick, it's a cool little toy, but there's models that are far more impressive than that, even within OpenAI. So keep that in mind. It's not that OpenAI's technology is bad or anything. It's not what they truly have under the hood. So taking that into consideration, it's rather fascinating. So imagining what Google might have it's pretty cool. I don't know, just an opinion. It's pretty cool. So I hope to see what Alphabet has, and maybe it's going to be something that blows our socks off, that really changes the way we interact with Google search. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, any thoughts on Powell's speech tomorrow? Guesses on how the market will react? That's always a fun game because I have no idea. Because I have, I guess you could say disagreements on how the market interprets it. But maybe Powell's going to comment on the adjustments that were made. So for those of you who don't know, on the recent employment data, we had adjustments to the population, and those adjustments to the population are taken into account as basically, they're counted as all in being employed. So I think it was like 500 something thousand people. And if you adjust for that adjustment, so basically remove the effects of that adjustment, we're still basically in trend line for a recession. So, there's nothing to say else about that. So maybe he's going to be commenting about that. So keep an eye out for that, because I think retail kind of missed the mark there, and they're kind of just taking the numbers at face value. So, couple of minds, any stock that I can buy bullish on Alaska? Alaska? Man, I don't know. Cop out answer, Alaska Airlines. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I haven't sat down and thought, okay, what are some ways? Yes, no. So Marcel, just remind us, and then we will talk about it on Sunday, because I know a lot of members actually really want to talk about climate control companies. Okay. Where's the intel? Kingdom of Finance, everyone. So Kingdom of Finance, we're going to be doing, when we're going to do the You Will Lose Everything episodes on the weekends, because that works best for him. So yeah, shout out to you, Kingdom of Finance, trolling me for intel. It makes sense too. So let's see here. I don't want to skip anyone by accident, but Fabio, when do you decide to sell all your semiconductors? Are they overhyped over the past month, or fundamental is not good with the inflation being high? Well, for AMD, I sold it. It had a massive run up. I think the gain was in excess of like 30-40%. And Qualcomm, I think, was like 16%. And really, they weren't doing much for my portfolio. They weren't meaningful in terms of size. And I was too focused on other positions or building out other positions that I didn't have the time or energy to dedicate what is necessary to those businesses. And clearly I didn't, because I wasn't able to capture or realize the price potential when I was originally acquiring the original shares. So I cut the winners at that point. They're basically watch positions. It wasn't anything nefarious or bad wrong with the companies. Now, Intel, for example, that one, it was my lower conviction of the larger holdings, and I wanted to free up capital for higher conviction ones. Because again, I'm not a semiconductor engineer, and I'm kind of aware of, let's say, my blind spot there. So I have to, in that case, cut down the small profit, which at the end of the day, that's all it was. Could have been a better profit, slightly better, but whatever. So ChatGPT got more than 200 million users in a month. Now the CEO says the government needs to regulate AI more. Well, that's always how it is. So you know, you get to a spot and then you regulate, so then others can't, you know, catch up to you. that's the game plan. Thoughts on top 10 stocks to buy for the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan? No comment. I have no idea. Any thoughts on consistent S&P 500 performers? Danaher, Thermo Fisher. So I mean, what probably contributed a lot to their outperformance, though, is multiple expansion. The market's starting to appreciate more and more and more the quality of the business, and then the market starts to is more willing to pay more for every dollar that business generates. It's up to you to decide whether or not that is justified or not. Are you going to believe that the story will maintain itself? Because that could be the case. The story can maintain itself for, you know, let's say in theory forever. But you know, you're taking that bet. So the quality, it's not a secret. So you're not really getting an edge on the market. You're just accepting that the market, or what the market is saying, and you're agreeing with it. So that could be correct, by the way. That doesn't mean the market's wrong. It could be, yeah, Thermo Fisher, very high quality business. Danaher, very high quality business. I mean, you can look at the other outperformers of the past decade or so, consistent outperformers, like, you know, let's say Apple. I'm saying like severe outperformer over the last decade. Apple is one of those. You see a lot of the returns that happened through Apple was multiple expansion. So is that justified? Is that not justified? That's a question, you know, as an investor you might want to ask. Hola Fabio, necesito información en la compañía de peces de Chile, por favor. Okay, so he's asking a question about the Chilean company that community members have been talking all about in terms of the salmon business. So that we'll talk later, Kethan, but definitely we should be talking about it. In fact, I'm not the best one to talk about it. There's other people with way more research on that than me. But my quick opinion is their thesis sounds really interesting, because you're basically making a play on the malinvestment that might occur due to foreign government action. And then you're figuring out a way how to profit from that by, you know, taking a position in another country's industry that competes against that country's industry. My one issue is the political risk that a lot of Western investors don't take into account, because we apply, here's the buzzword from, it sounds like it's from a university, but I literally kind of made it up to describe Chinese VIEs. It's probably definitely a word, by the way. It's not I invented this word, but Western normative narrative. Ooh, fancy word. So applying that, you know, thought or mindset to international businesses in Latin America and abroad, and then kind of almost ignoring a lot of those risks. And then if you talk to people from those countries, they really have that unique perspective that they can bring to the table, where they can kind of guide you and say, hey, you know, be careful. So similar to how when I'm talking to Kingdom of Finance and he's, you know, talking to me about companies that he might be investing in India. Well, you know, him being from there, having family from there, and, you know, being part of the culture and experiencing that, he provides a unique perspective when I'm speaking to him that I simply do not have, right? And I can only, you know, attempt to learn it and try to not make mistakes and navigate through that. So, so we see, is there a price in which you're willing to sell Amazon? Well, I have done that in the past, right? But that was before the channel was a thing. So we're ignoring it. But just entertaining that for a second. Yeah, so there was a point where Amazon was basically the same size as Alphabet. Alphabet's the one position in my portfolio, or one of the positions in my portfolio, that I have yet to take any profits in, and has remained as such. I don't even want to sell call or contracts on it. I just don't play with it. Now, Amazon got to a point, and they were both. I was making that judgment call at the time, and let me be honest, right? So with Alphabet, and let me actually show you kind of the rough time period. So, because I sold Amazon and Alphabet more or less around the same time. It was in the summer of 2021, and I felt really smart a little bit after that, because Alphabet continued to run. But Amazon, when I did the analysis, I was like, okay, do I cut back on these two positions? Amazon, I felt like, was almost objectively overvalued. And then Alphabet, I kind of was like, oh, well, there are scenarios in which it's kind of fairly valued or undervalued. So I'm going to decide not to play with it because that's typically how I like to do things. But, let's fast forward. Hindsight's now 2020. It would have actually been optimal to sell some Alphabet or take some profits on Alphabet. It's not like exactly that date, but it's the summer of 2021 was when that happened. And so in general, what I'm trying to talk about or trying to highlight here is I don't have price points at which I sell out. I kind of figure out to myself, is there scenarios that I feel are reasonable that make the company just objectively overvalued, where I cannot even imagine a scenario that, I'd be willing to buy it at this price, or I think that this is okay to pay for it. And then I might take, profits off, but I could be wrong too. That's still an opinion. That's why I'm almost like, it's not objectively overvalued. That's the wrong word. Subjectively overvalued, to my opinion, and that I could be wrong. Then Alphabet, I was, for the time being, incorrect because it did go lower. It went up for a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah. And Amazon didn't go up that much after that. And then Amazon really did get ahead of itself, by the way. Alphabet, I almost still feel like even then it was okay valued, but it wasn't like it wasn't great, right? And I don't think it's even still great. I think kind of it's still in that mesh territory. If I didn't have any Alphabet, I might be buying some here, but I'm kind of happy with the allocation to Alphabet, so I'm done. But Amazon, I might return it to its former glory, and so I'm going to be trying to work on that over time. So hopefully I can get it there, right? Because they used to be neck and neck. And by the way, it's like weird because now Netflix and Alphabet have been neck and neck, but Netflix is performing so much better than Alphabet that Alphabet just can't catch up. If Alphabet were to recover to its all-time highs, because let me show you, like peak to trough, what is this performance? 30%, I think at lowest. Yeah, I remember it being down 40% peak to trough, but it's still down a decent amount peak to trough, or not trough, but peak till now. Yeah, 30% still. So good question there. What industry should we be looking for opportunity? I've just been going up SPY, trailing 2 percentage biggest losers, taking a lot of time. You see, right now, if I had that answer, I'd be a little bit, happier with where to deploy the new capital. But really, there are still some opportunities in some of the tech plays, I think, but that's my opinion. But I'm not buying anymore. I'm done. There's maybe some opportunity, because the thing is, okay, what's kind of been beaten down? Well, we have some banks. Banks still haven't recovered, but caution there. The environment we're in, there are banks have a consensus of like a mild recession, soft landing. It's either one or the other. I think JP Morgan right now is the most optimistic. Bank of America used to be the most optimistic. Okay, but as far as sectors go, you got oil. Oil still kind of have some pretty strong tailwinds. There's production's not really coming back online. It looks like this might be the decade of oil. You don't even need oil to necessarily rise in price, kind of just maintain itself, and the prospects for these businesses continue to improve and improve and improve. You have super investors like Buffett taking a big position there. Semis, a lot of them rallied really hard recently, at least the semiconductor industry in the production side. It's a tough question, because that's a question I'm asking myself too. Like, we have some niche plays that maybe community members are finding, but they're really niche, right? So they're in like these tucked away sectors that aren't really talked about. Materials. Because we community members, we listen to the U.S. Steel, and that's a interesting call, just to say the least. Maybe some like Tyson Foods looks okay right now, pretty good, more on the pretty good side, but no, it's kind of like tougher. I'm just glad my positions are built out. But if I didn't have any positions built out, some of the real estate, I'd say. I mean, for me, I don't know. Like Kilroy's one that I'm biased because Kilroy hasn't moved up. But it could be one of the losers, by the way. So, you know, I don't want to say anything ahead of itself, but it could be a loser in the portfolio. I could be completely wrong in terms of my thesis, but I almost feel like 2023 is going to be like my accumulation year for that business. But, you know, we'll see in 2024 because I don't think it will take that long to really play out. It could, but I don't know. I really don't know. So let's see. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you so much. Echoes from above. Thoughts on Google's new AI chatbot and ChatGPT. All right, so Google's new AI chatbot, we're going to see the full extent of its capabilities, I think, in the presentation that is on Wednesday. So I'm going to be watching that. We're going to be, you know, kind of watching the live stream as a community on Wednesday. So that's going to be exciting. And I think it's going to be probably a bit more powerful, if not a lot more powerful, than ChatGPT. Maybe equalize itself, but at the very least, I expect it to equalize itself. And what I know from speaking to people who know much more than I, that a lot of these companies have incredible AI models inside, but they, for one, like I've been talking about this for Amazon. Amazon's AI, like, you guys think it's stupid? No, it's actually incredible. Now, do they publicize it a lot? No, they do not. Alphabet, do they publicize it a lot? No. In fact, the only thing that we know is kind of hearsay from the whistleblower. We don't have any, you know, papers or any documents like that. We just have basically what they've said. And if you've been paying attention to what they said, and if you take that to be truth, like, that guy thinks it's alive. Okay. So, you know, that's Alphabet for you. So I don't think Alphabet's going to release something like that. And in fact, I think from conversations I've had, I mean, it makes sense. A lot of companies are kind of holding it close to their chest because the full release of something like that probably has a lot of societal implications. What I mean by that is like social implications, right? Well, what if it brings up those questions, right? Before we, you know, even thought, like, we were just used to our silly little iPads and iPhones, and then all of a sudden we have to almost deal with something that is potentially live. I don't know. So again, just going off of that, maybe it's completely hyperbolic what the guy's saying. I have no idea. So, you know, maybe it'll take some time for us to find out. So as far as ChatGPT goes, because your question is more geared towards what I think about it, I think it's going to be a useful tool for people to use, but I don't think it's going to, you know, if you're thinking about it from the aspect of like, oh, now I can cheat on tests, well, you're only hurting yourself. But ChatGPT or tools like that, language models like that, in the hands of a very competent person can be very impressive. I was actually, I'll talk about this here, but I'm not going to reveal the company or anything. I actually did write one article, again, within the articles, and I titled it because I'm not going to, I wanted to do it as an experiment, at least where everyone who read it knew. And you guys who read it, you guys can maybe attest to its quality or not. Again, in the chats, you know, go for it. But I wrote an article using one of these language models, not ChatGPT. So a friend of mine who works for startup, he asked me if I could, you know, test it out for something. And I did. And I asked him, you know, can I post this? And he's like, yeah, whatever. So we tested it out. And then I think some other members used ChatGPT, offered the same prompt, and kind of compared the quality. I believe the one from my friend's startup was, it's not his startup, but he works there, was pretty good, was pretty good. And ChatGPT's was also, you know, okay. Like, it wrote an article talking about Amazon. And what I did was I didn't give it any input. And then I also started playing around with it. Okay, what happens if I start to, you know, give it some input here and help it out, right? Instead of just giving it the prompt and letting it go. Well, what I found was it drastically improved my capability of writing out content. And so, you know, it makes sense. So in the hands of yourself, let's think of it as it's an amplifier to your abilities. So it helps you save time and increases productivity, much like how all technology is done. But by itself, it's rather underwhelming. Okay, so both ChatGPT and these other stuff. But it can do a lot of things that seem very impressive to a lot of people. Like, ChatGPT can help you out a lot with making, you know, basic functions or pretty complex functions even for Excel. Like that's a capable thing it's doing because it's drawing from information readily available out there on the internet and bringing it to you. That was the search function capabilities that we were talking about. So that's going to help people become better at a lot of these tools faster and faster and faster. And I think that's really good. I think that's really good. Cole said to check my phone. Oh, yeah. How could you forget that? No, that's what I was referring to earlier with people who don't make content around that subject who are talking bad about Meta. So yeah, no, absolutely. I just saw your text, Cole. I don't know how big the delay is between. I think I put it to low latency, but not ultra low latency this time. So we have some more questions. Cheers. We'll keep looking. Waiting for January to fizzle out. Yeah, man, it's been terrible. Like stocks just rallied like crazy. Like I think my portfolio is up. The holding company's portfolio is up, I think, in like 20%, and then my personal portfolio is in excess of that just year to date. But that's mainly, Meta's doing and some of the other positions doing too. So it's crazy. ChatGPT can program as well with some help. Yeah, exactly. So I think like those kinds of language models are going to be good tools for professionals to use, but not necessarily replacements. At least not yet. We'll see. It's like 3 seconds latency. Huh. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. All right. So I might have put it at ultra low latency because I know after you start, you can't change it. So what do you think about what's a good entry point for Google and Amazon? Just to guess an educated point of view. Just to guess. Well, I have like what I've penciled out, but it's kind of like I'm kind of like building out Amazon here and there now. I did get some at lower prices and then had to buy it up at higher prices, but I'd be looking at it honestly to build out a sizable position, kind of in the low 90s and below 80s. And if somehow it got to the 60s again, somehow, oh my gosh, that what's funny about Novo Nordisk? So I have a one of my good friends. He's has type 1 diabetes, but you wouldn't be able to tell. Like the guy looks like a Hulk, right? And he's invested in Novo Nordisk, so it's funny you mentioned that company, but because I was talking about him to him the other day, and literally that's his like thesis, or not thesis. He's kind of, it's like a fun position for him. He's like, I use their products all the time. They might as well pay me back, right? And so I'm like, yeah, that's a good that's a good answer. Let's see. Met people at uni who are using it for assignments and tests, and they don't understand the concepts. Yeah, but they're only screwing themselves. If you understand the concepts and you apply yourself, at the end of the day, when you go get that job, when you go to get that interview, the interview is going to know who knows their stuff and who doesn't. And then again, those tools in your hands are much better. It's kind of like, it's a really good example, I think, like the calculator, right? Well, why do you need to know 1 + 1 = 2? Like, why? The calculator does that. Why do you need to know your multiplications, your basic multiplications? Why do you need to know at least to do it by hand? Like, what's the point? What's the purpose? Well, because you should at least know what it's doing, and then you can build upon that knowledge, and then you can start to do way more complicated stuff. So it's like an amplifier to your abilities, to your skills. So if you don't build your own skills and you're using this fantastic tool, well, someone with the skills and abilities will run circles around you with that same tool, right? So yeah. Another kind of other example is like, all right. So if I look at like snowboarding, right? So I ski, but I don't snowboard. So snowboarding has allowed a human to, put their feet down on snow and slide, right? Because normally we wouldn't be able to do it. We have feet, so we'd kind of just step and stick or maybe just fall. But this allows us to slide. So I can slide. If you give me a snowboard, I can go on it. I can slide. And I'm using the tool for its intended use. But you take me and then you take someone who really knows how to use it and has really good balance on, with their feet stuck together on one thing. You will see the huge difference between what we're able to perform despite us both using the same tool. If you wanted like a sports reference, basically, of some kind. So yeah. All right, let's see here. Me gusta la compañía que se llama Sociedad Económica Minera de Chile. No, no, I'm not too much a fan, especially considering the political climate. Those are the companies that are. I mean, that might be your opportunity because people like me aren't buying it, right? So consider that. But right now, I'm not in the mood to get involved with mining companies in Chile. I got to run back in the morning here, showing love though. Oh, thank you, JP. Thank you, JP. Yeah. No, we're in the same boat. You need to pick up some snowboarding. Come to Canada with the boys. We'll pick you. We'll put you on. Yeah, definitely for sure. I'm a skier, but I'll try snowboarding. I'll fall on my face maybe. Um, Fabio's basically saying the next generation is screwed because an over reliance on easily learned knowledge. I'm not saying they're screwed. I'm saying it is going to be easier for those who want to learn, and it's going to be easier for those who want to cheat themselves to cheat themselves. So it's only going to be their fault if they decide to cheat themselves. That's your fault, right? Oh, Noam. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see. I mean, I know what you've been doing, but all right. So yo sé muchas historias. Intenté usar ChatGPT en mi examen. Las respuestas que me dio fueron casi tan buenas como la que creí. Well, so just because it produced similar answers to what you would do, maybe that's more of a fault of the test and what the test is testing. So, I mean, tests are going to have to definitely change, in my opinion. They're going to have to change exactly what they're going for. Hi, I'm Dora. Get a social life. Yeah, no. Finally, I mean, you've earned it. You've earned it. So, shout out to Noam here. He's passed all 4 exams. So he is now on his way to being a CPA. So shout out to him. SoFi shill. Oh, Jake. Well, back at you, Apple shill. I'm going to text you a free version of my essay. Oh, definitely. I'll take a read at it. Noam pulling out the star. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Not many people, because there's a lot of new people to the channel. Not many people are going to get that joke. But yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so I'm saying it. Societal collapse in 30 years. I don't even know about that. I mean, like, technology is going to get to a point where, I don't know. The lore. Yes, the lore is real. All right. So anyways, going back to the update, that's pretty much covering the entire update for the portfolio. So if you guys don't know, again, there is the new README page. The README page does go a bit into explanation of how this works. So this will be up and available to all for the next couple days, and then at which point it will disappear. Community members, you'll be able to see the whole thing forever. But yeah, every time I do an update, these videos serve as a way of me kind of explaining every change that happened anyway. So it's not like it's doing anything, truthfully speaking, but it's at least making people not just look at updates, but also kind of at least hear perspective, at least hear a reason as to why things are changing. I will not, and if I ever feel that it's perhaps being misused, used to copy and blindly copy, etc., I will stop these updates. Okay, so community, don't make me proud. Make me proud on that's not going to be the case. But yeah, if there are any further questions as far as the updates go, I will close it off, and I am headed to bed because it is 11:32. Actually, I might go on a run to finish out the workout. But yeah, I've been blind copying since day one. Oh my gosh. ¿Cuáles son las 10 compañías a comprar para solucionar? Okay. Oh my gosh, no. So for anyone who's kind of having a trouble reading his question, he's basically asking what are some food companies that he can benefit from, some growth in Venezuela. And yeah, that's a good joke, funny joke. Good night, Fabio. Have a good workout. Thanks, guys. I copy losing trades to lose more money. Bob Bill, yeah, that's good. It's been coming since day one. Bought so much Bitcoin. Yeah, that's right. Because I show Bitcoin. Actually, just another update. Hopefully everyone sees this. I should have said this in the beginning because everyone gets to see it. But if anyone messages you on Discord or on YouTube, but mainly on Discord because this is mainly where the problem was, which I think it's hilarious what they used. The scammer used Tesla as the stock to entice people to a trading group that I am apparently selling. So I will never message you to sell you a product. Okay? If I do, that is a scammer. Okay? So because it's very convincing. It's the same logo. You'll see the Discord number next to it is different from mine. Right? So you see my username and then my little hashtag and the number or pound symbol number. So make sure that it's me. So you can go onto Discord. And then if you're able to message two versions of me, that's another test you can do, then there might be something up. So don't fall for that. Many of you messaged me saying, hey, there's this person pretending to be you. Yes, I got it. And I did I added everyone in the community as an update. And I'm also letting everyone on, anywhere know, just in case. If anyone messages you on any platform, whether it be Instagram, because that's going to happen too. Instagram's going to happen. Maybe Twitter's going to happen. If it's someone messaging you, pretending to be me, that is saying, hey, I have a product for you. I have a buy and sell alerts. I have a trading group. That's obviously not me. And what was funny was the person used Tesla and was like, look, I made $60-something thousand on Tesla in a day. Obviously, that's not me, guys. Come on. If you fell for it, fake fan, okay? Because honestly, Tesla, okay. But maybe the joke we had was, well, in reality, I'm holding out on the YouTube audience, right? Because I have a secret trading group where I use Tesla, and I hide it from the YouTube audience because I want to show the real attendees to my trading group, right? Yeah, so it's obviously not true. But I don't understand. The person probably just chose Tesla because Tesla's popular and they don't watch the channel. They're just, trying to find someone who scam. I've listened to or heard the logic that they tried to sometimes attack the more gullible people or innocent people because those are the ones who are going to fall for it in the first place. So they make it almost, disaligned with reality on purpose. So they can try to, capture those people who fall victim to. So just me message you? No, scam. And just let me know. Feel free to let me know. And then you can send a screenshot. Maybe we can just make fun of them. And we can just post their messages everywhere or something. But I don't know. Yeah. Why would they even use Trading Plus Tesla for Yeah, exactly. I don't understand either. Yo quiero comprar... Southern Copper, that's a decent exposure to copper play, but you got to be bullish on copper. All right. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. F***ing thing sucks.
Yeah.